Hi, welcome to Keep Educating Yourself series. Air Navigation Lecture 4 Radio Aids. Radio aids are ground-based navigation facilities that transmit electronic signals which are received by airborne units. Here we will be going to cover NDB, ADF, VOR, ILS. Non-directional beacon (NDB). It is a low, medium or ultra-high frequency radio beacon installed at ground that transmit non-directional signals whereby the user can determine a bearing and home to that station. Non-directional radio beacons normally operate in frequency band of 190 to 535 kHz and transmit a continuous carrier with 400 or 1020 cycles per second modulation. All radio beacons transmit a continuous three-letter identification code except during voice transmissions. NDB chart signals are in circular in fashion. Associated with the NDB figure, you can have additional information written in a rectangle. Full clear name of the NDB, frequency in kilohertz, two or three letter call sign of the NDB, Morse code of the call sign. Frequency 343 kilohertz, three letter call sign of NDB, Sierra Bravo November. Automatic direction finders. The signals from NDB are received by an instrument in airplane called ADF. It operates on frequency range from 190 kHz to 1750 kHz. The range of NDB is 190 kHz to 535 kHz. AM radio station operate between 540 kHz to 1620 kHz. These two bands are used for homing purpose. ADF signals follows curvature of Earth and reception is not limited to line of sight. Maximum distance depends upon the power of transmitting beacon. It is used to obtain bearing to other aircraft and to emergency locator beacons. The antenna rotated to seek the position in which the signal was null. The direction to the broadcast antenna was shown on an azimuth scale of an ADF indicator in the flight deck. This type of instrument is still found in use today. It has a fixed card with 0 degrees always at the top of a non-rotating dial. A pointer indicates the relative bearing to the station. When the indication is 0 degree, the aircraft is on course to the station. ADF type: fixed card, variable card, RMI. Fixed card type pointer gives relative bearing of NDB station with reference to the longitudinal axis of the aircraft. In this case, the station has a relative bearing of 270 degrees directly of the left wing of the aircraft. Variable card ADF. Pointer gives magnetic bearing of aircraft to or from the NDB station. The pilot has to manually set the aircraft magnetic heading at the top of the azimuth. When this is done, the magnetic bearing to the station is displayed. In the above example, the magnetic bearing to the station is 122 degrees. RMI. It is identical to the variable card display except the pilot does not have to manually set the aircraft heading. Instead, the azimuth is rotated just like the heading indicator except it is powered by a remote slaved compass. Relative bearing. The angle between your heading and your heading to the station. Direction you want to track to the station shown by the indicator needle on the ADF. Magnetic heading, direction your nose is pointing. Magnetic bearing, direction flown to the station in still air. VOR, VHF omnidirectional range, is a ground-based beacon emits reference signal omnidirectional horizontal pattern. On the same carrier frequency, it emits directional radiation pattern which is made to rotate in horizontal plane. Airborne VOR receiver measures phase difference and gets magnetic bearing from station. It operates between frequency range of 108 MHz to 118 MHz, range limited to line of sight, maximum range 200 nautical mile. 108 to 112 MHz band is shared between VOR and ILS. VOR is allotted even frequencies 108.2, 108.4 and so on, and ILS is allotted odd frequencies 108.1, 108.3. Station identification of VOR is a three-letter oral Morse code. Factors affecting range of VOR. It depends upon three factors: transmission power, number 2, transmitter and aircraft height, number 3, nature of terrain. Transmission power. If transmission power is higher, then range will be more. Second factor, transmitter and aircraft height. Range maximum is equals to 1.25 times of square root of st plus 1.25 times of square root of height of receiver. Nature of terrain. Numericals. VOR receiver is installed in aircraft operating at a height of 12,500 feet. Height of receiver. VOR installed on ground is at 100 feet above mean sea level. This is height of transmitter. Find out the maximum range of VOR. You know the formula. Range maximum is equals to 1.25 times of square root of st plus square root of hr. So this comes out to be 152 nautical mile. Advantages of VOR. Freedom from interference. It operates in VHF range. Extreme accuracy of plus minus 1 degree. Automatic wind correction when flying with reference to course deviation indicator. VOR airborne component. Course selector, CDI, to from indicator. Course selector. It selects magnetic track to fly to or from VOR station. CDI indicates position relative to the selected course, whether the radial is to his left or right. If the location of the aircraft is to the left of the course, the needle deflects to the right. If the location of the aircraft is to the right of the course, the needle deflects to the left. So in this case, aircraft has to simply follow the needle so that the needle will be centered. That will show the aircraft is on the right course. Third VOR airborne component is to from indicator. Select track OBS 070. To or from indicator will indicate either to or from according to whether the selected track will take aircraft towards or away from station. The indication will change when aircraft crosses a line 90 degree to the selected course. Off flag. Onboard VOR off, over the VOR or beyond the receivable range of VOR or abeam VOR. Distance measuring equipment is defined as usually coupled with a VOR or an ILS beacon to enable aircraft to measure their position relative to that beacon. It gives slant distance from the ground transponder. Range depends upon line of sight. Maximum range is 200 nautical mile. Range maximum formula 1.25 times of square root of st plus square root of hr. It operates in UHF frequency band of 962 to 1213 MHz. Accuracy is plus minus 0.25 nautical mile plus 1.25 times of range. So if aircraft is distance away from the NDB station or DME station, the accuracy will be less, and as it will come near to the DME station, accuracy will be more. VOR DME frequency pairing. Each VOR frequency is paired with DME channels. So when pilot select VOR, DME gets automatically selected. It reduces workload of pilot and it also reduces risk of making wrong selection. It helps in checking ETA, improved holding pattern, better approach procedures, accurate point to indicate start of descent, fixes for the purpose of separation. DME co-located with glide path. It provides accurate range from touchdown along ILS center line. We can measure ground distance using Pythagoras numerical. If an aircraft at 40,000 feet read distance DME 80 nautical mile. Determine ground distance. So here A represents the height of the aircraft, C represents the DME reading slant distance, and B represents ground distance which has to be measured. Applying Pythagoras theorem for a right triangle at ABC, A square plus B square is equals to C square. By solving this and using conversions of nautical mile into feet, we'll get ground distance as 79.7 nautical mile. And this ground distance is less than the slant distance of 80 nautical mile. Numerical 2. If an aircraft reports 100 nautical mile from a VOR, considering inaccuracies at in DM, determine accurate DME reading. DME reading is equals to 100 nautical miles, so this is the range. Accuracy formula plus minus 0.25 nautical mile plus 1.25% of range. So here it comes out to be plus minus 1.5 nautical mile. 100 nautical mile plus 1.5 or 100 nautical mile minus 1.5. This will be the range of DME reading. So it comes out to be 98.5 to 101.5 nautical mile. ILS is Instrument Landing System. It is the ICAO standard non-visual aid to final approach and landing. The ILS is defined as a prescient runway approach aid which provides pilots with both vertical and horizontal guidance during an approach to land. The instrument landing system provides the pilot with guidance information regarding the approach path derived from the localizer and the glide path, range information at significant points along with the approach path by marker beacons or continuous range information from DME, visual information in last phase of flight from approach lights, touchdown, centerline lights or runway lights. The identification of an ILS is transmitted in International Morse code and consists of a 2 or 3 letter identifier. Components of ILS. Localizer. The localizer transmitter operates on one of 40 ILS channels within the VHF band from 108 to 112 MHz. Each localizer frequency first decimal shall be odd 108.1, 108.15, 108.3 and so on. The localizer signal emitted from the transmitter site at the far end of the runway is confined within an angular width of plus minus 3 degrees to plus minus 6 degrees. The localizer provides course guidance throughout the descent part to the runway threshold from a distance of 18 nautical mile from the antenna between a height of 1000 feet above the highest terrain along the approach path and 4500 feet above the elevation of the antenna site. The course line along the extended centerline of the runway in the opposite direction to the approach served by the ILS is called back course. This back course is used for aligning with runway centerline. Distinct off-course indicators are provided throughout the areas of the operational volume. These areas extend 10 degrees either side of the course within a radius of 18 nautical mile from the antenna and 35 degrees either side of the course within a radius of 10 nautical mile. Glide path. The glide slope transmitter operates on one of 40 ILS channels within the UHF band. The glide slope transmitter is located between 750 feet to 1250 feet from the approach end of the runway and offset between 250 feet to 650 feet from the runway centerline. It transmits a glide path with a beam width of 1.4 degrees. The glide path projection angle is normally adjusted to 3 degrees above the horizontal plane so that it passes through the middle marker at 200 feet and outer marker at about 1400 feet. The glide slope is normally usable to a distance of 10 nautical miles. The glide path provided by the glide slope transmitter is arranged so that it flares from 18 to 27 feet above the runway. It should not be expected that the glide path will provide guidance to the touchdown point on the runway. Principle of ILS signals. Two signals are transmitted laterally, one that is 90 Hz shown in blue and one that is 150 Hz shown in red. Where the two frequencies intersect is usually aligned with the extended runway centerline and is shown as on course on viewing cockpit instruments. The ILS receiver interprets the overlap of the two frequencies to determine which side of the localizer course the airplane is flying on, or if it is flying perfectly down the middle of the course. ILS coverage area. Right side we can see from 30 up to 10 nautical mile it is 35 degrees. Now up to 80 nautical mile it is 10 degrees from the localizer antenna. Please visit us again for new videos. Thank you for watching. Do share your views and subscribe for new videos.